Heyo, this is something important to watch out about. Doesn't matter if it's an older manual lens or a newer autofocus lens. Surprised there's not another video out there on this. It's oil on your aperture blades. Okay, let's take a look at this 200mm, which has moderate oil on the aperture blades. You can see what I'm looking at, and it'll be something to check for. Okay. Yeah, you see those little spots there, those little shiny spots on the aperture blades? That is oil, folks. And why don't you want it, and why isn't it a big deal? The aperture is operating perfectly fine. Yes and no. This will cause overexposure on your shots, especially if you get too much. Now, the way to take care of this, now if you got an older manual, if you got a modern autofocus lens, screw it. I am not recommending you do this. Even if you have an older one of these, a lot of you, people think that like taking one of these lenses apart, I've had a few people, I've warned them not to do it. They took them apart. It's like, I can't get it back together. It's like I told you, I warned you about that. The way this is cleaned is to remove the rear mount, secondary assembly, remove your aperture. And what you do is you get not nail polish remover, okay, which is mostly acetone, but it's got a lot of nasty crap in there. It's pure laboratory grade acetone, and what you do is you submerge that with your hand and you actually flick the aperture blades and you swish it around a little bit. Someone actually charged you $100 to do this, but if you have some taking apart skills to take stuff apart, you can do this on your own. Now, am I recommending you do this on your own? No, because taking these lenses apart and getting back together is not easy, especially when it comes to getting fingerprints and whatnot. I mean, it's like taking, a fine Swiss watch apart. Not as complicated to that degree, but it's pretty much the same. So what you do is you actually take out your aperture assembly, you swish it around in acetone, you flick the shutter, you flick the aperture assembly, the aperture assembly in the acetone. That will remove the oil. Then you can screw your lens back together. That's how you take care of it. Now, why does this cause overexposure? Well, what happens is when this is on your camera, okay? Let me situate my fingers in the right position here. When you take a shot, like say you're in a continuous, doesn't matter what you're in, continuous low or single shot, continuous high, your camera's doing this number, obviously with the aperture. Okay, I'm taking a shot. Okay, I'm taking a shot. I take, your camera's either, okay, it's going to open up to whatever the f-stop is. It causes retardation in the action of your aperture blades. And what that means is that, you're laying on 90 miles an hour from your camera, yet your car, i.e. your aperture assembly, is only spitting out 60. Basically like an engine problem. So you're burning oil, for example. I'm trying to think of another good analogy. What happens is aperture opening, closing retardation from your camera to the aperture assembly on your lens is being retarded due to the stickiness and friction of the oil on your aperture blades, and that of course is an issue because you think you're exposing for one thing and you're exposing for another thing because your shutter is not flicking open and close, at the speed that it is supposed to. So you can have exposure issues. But that is how the pros actually fix it. Now, I'm not recommending anybody take their lens apart, but what you do is, like I said, you take your aperture assembly, stick it in a little tub, Tupperware tub of acetone, you swish it around, you flick the aperture blades open and close, you swish it around some more, you flick the blades a little bit more. People charge $100 for this, depending on who you take it to. That removes all the oil, and there you go. Now, if you take your lens apart, I'm warning you not to, so do not blame me. I am not recommending anybody take their lens apart. If you got mad skills, you're probably still going to have some problems, but that is how it is fixed, and that is the issue that you should watch out for if you plan on buying a used autofocus, a modern motor drive lens, or even one of these older AI or AIS lenses, is that you need to watch out for oil on your Aperture blades, you might get by with it fine depending on how bad the oil is or how coagulated the oil is. If it's very coagulated, then you're going to have some bad exposure issues because your Aperture is not flickering to what your camera is causing it to do, because it's being retarded by that coagulated or that oil that is on your Aperture blades. Okay, thanks for watching. If you like these videos, you drop me a buck or two, and you tell me to go screw myself. Whatever makes you the most happy. As long as I am helping you folks, that is the reason I'm making these videos. Okay, believe it or not, that really is the only reason. I actually do like helping people, even though despite the fact that I'm an angry SOB, not angry, more like jaded and worn out. I'm kind of like rode hard and put up wet. Maybe that's a good analogy. Anyway, thanks for watching another video from the Angry Photographer. Why aren't you so angry? Well, some people have told me to tame it down. One guy said, I have my speakers cranked up and you cussed and my children heard you cussing. Can you tame it down a little bit? I'm like, okay. Okay, I'll curb the cussing moderately. If more of you people tell me not to do it, you know, whatever you guys want, alright? I'm being genuine to myself. That's all I can say, I guess, right? You're not genuine to yours, to thine own self be true, as the saying goes. Thanks for watching. Catch you later.